Following the Berlin Conference of 1884-1885, the British would lay claim to the whole of Nigeria while expanding their influence. However, it would not be a walk in the park, as the colonialists were met with fierce opposition from several prominent rulers in the Niger Delta region. This opposition would lead to the deposition, removal, and banishment of these rulers from their kingdoms. Chief among them was King Jaja of Opobo. Born around 1821 in Ama-Igbo village in the Olu district of Igbo land, Jubo Juboba, a name given to him by his master, would go on to rise from penury and slavery into affluence, wealth, and extraordinary leadership. He later became known as Jaja of Opobo. As a slave boy in the house of the king of Bonny, Jaja proved to be highly resourceful, discharging his duties with tremendous amounts of effectiveness and enthusiasm. Following the death of Chief Alali, Jaja was elected head of the Opobo Pepper Trading House. As an astute businessman, he would go on to expand the influence of the trading house and increase operations in the hinterland. In 1868, a rival trading house led by Chief Okojumbo attacked his trading post. Instead of resorting to war, Jaja relocated his trading house to a new settlement which he named Opobo. Thus, he became independent of Bonny. Within a few years, he expeditiously drew the palm oil trade from Bonny as he served as a middleman between the European merchants and the produce sellers in the interior. One of the ways by which the British sought to take over these lands was by the signage of treaties, promising the protection of these lands. A notable treaty which Jaja signed was that of 1873. This treaty would see Jaja become recognized as King of Opobo by the British. It also stipulated that no European trading establishments would be permitted in Opobo and that the Opobo River would be closed to traders above a certain point. In 1881, Jaja's troubles with the British merchants began. On April 11, 1881 and May 16, 1881, Jaja led two disciplinary expeditions to Kwa Ibo, a suburb within his jurisdiction. He claimed sovereignty over the Kwa Ibo River and its people. The British consul, who had the mission of signing treaties, would warn Jaja off, stating that the Kwa Ibo River and its people were under the protection of the British. This would lead to a disagreement which continued until 1884. Another worrying issue that broke out between Jaja and the British was the signage of the Protectorate Treaty. At the time, the trade depression in England from the 1880s spurred the British traders into assuming their profits would increase if they could thwart Jaja's middleman's role in the eastern Niger Delta. To achieve this goal, they sought the assistance of the British consul. The British consul met with great opposition from Jaja and his chiefs, especially regarding a particular clause in the treaty that would have allowed for free trade by the British in every part of the territory. Jaja vehemently refused to sign the treaty until the clause was struck out, and after a reassurance that the Queen was not interested in Jaja's country and markets. In addition, the European traders in 1885 requested a reduction in the price of palm oil due to the drop in the world price. However, Jaja refused to heed to their request. One of the British firms, Alexander Miller Brother and Company, would break out from the African Association, an amalgamation of British trading firms, and join forces with Jaja. This defection triggered fierce commercial rivalries among British firms. These other firms and the Foreign Council considered that Jaja's attitude might make the exercise of the British protectorate difficult unless it was dealt with. This view was also shared by the British Vice Consul, who felt that the most effective way to support commerce in the area would be the humiliation or banishment of Jaja. On September 19, 1887, the British Vice Consul invited King Jaja of Opobo aboard a naval vessel. He assured Jaja that he would be free to leave whenever he wanted to. However, this was not the case. While aboard the ship, Jaja was given two options: either granted access to the Europeans to trade or risk bombardment and exile. Jaja refused to back down and was arrested and deposed for obstructing British commercial and political expansion. His trial, which took place in the Gold Coast, present-day Ghana, was slated for November 29, 1887. King Jaja of Opobo was accused of terrorism, administering illegal oaths to natives, apparently to frighten them from dealing directly with European agents, obstructing trade to the inland districts beyond his jurisdiction, and blocking the highway and waterways entrance into Opobo River, thereby flouting the terms and spirit of the Berlin Treaty of 1884-1885. On December 1, 1887, Jaja was pronounced guilty and he was exiled to the West Indies. He would eventually go on to campaign for his freedom. He appealed against the order with the assistance of Major MacDonald, a British officer who felt that Jaja had been treated unjustly. In May 1888, Jaja was moved to the island of St. Vincent, Cape Verde. His health began to deteriorate and the Foreign Office decided to move him to Barbados. There, the people of Barbados, having heard of the capture of an African king, felt insulted that he had been subjected to such ridicule and shame. Jaja was welcomed with a loud ovation. The British, afraid that they might hatch an escape plan, sailed back to St. Vincent. After years of appealing against his detention, Jaja eventually won the appeal and the order was revoked by the British Parliament. His health further deteriorated and it was agreed by the Parliament that he should be sent back to his hometown of Opobo. Unfortunately, Jaja would not make the journey home. He was sent first to Santa Cruz, Tenerife, to await the arrival of Major MacDonald. On the morning of July 8, 1891, 4 years after his unjust detention, King Jaja of Opobo died. He was 70. The land of Opobo would rapidly come into ruins after King Jaja's death as it became plagued with slave raids and exploitation of its resources by the British. Another famous ruler in the Niger Delta that was deposed and exiled by the British was Governor Nana Olomu of the Benin River. You can check out the full story in our next episode.